I've dabbled in power scaling for the past few years of my life now, from commenting on Instagram battle accounts to watching dozens upon dozens of videos here on YouTube. Whether you consider yourself a power scaler or not, surely everyone here has debated whether a fictional character could beat another with a friend or family member or whatever. But I enjoyed it so much that I decided to throw my hat in the ring about a year and a half ago. How powerful is this guy? Who would win? And of course, my rankings. But after doing this for a while, I realized that power scaling is kinda stupid. Okay, maybe not stupid per se, but it gets a little ridiculous at a point. I promise I'm not making this video just because Coda5761 didn't like my last ranking. For those unaware, power scaling is when you scale the power of fictional characters, in case you couldn't figure that one out yourself. Essentially finding out what that character is capable of, sometimes using real-world calculations to determine stats like strength, speed, and durability, as well as comparing their showings against other characters and using those characters' own feats to determine the stats of character A. It's a simple concept on its own and works most of the time. If Billy Bob can shatter mountains with a punch, but a punch from him is completely ineffective against Sally Mae, then Sally Mae has durability well over mountain level. And then she fights Trucker Tom, who punches her once in the face, knocking her out. Then we know that Trucker Tom's punches are well over mountain level, even if we've seen no other feats from him. Makes sense, right? Well, yeah, kinda, in a vacuum maybe. Self-contained stories by one author or writer can remain pretty consistent, but the staircase logic can quickly get very confusing and get you to some pretty wild conclusions if you take it literally. Hulk and Namor have fought, and Namor has held his own. Black Panther can literally scrap with his absolute superhuman and win in hand-to-hand, but then gets one-shot via kick to the balls from Deadpool. Okay, maybe not exactly one-shot him, but the idea's there. Comics are by far the absolute worst example when it comes to this. Comics suffer from having decades upon decades of source material to gather feats from, dozens of different authors with their own ideas and feats whose stories contain other characters who also have their own authors and multiple comic book runs, and have also been included in dozens of other characters' comics. Trying to find any sort of concrete consistency is literally impossible, and anyone who pretends that there is this objectively correct system to figure out who is always stronger than someone else is blatantly lying to you and or themselves. Like, sure, you can go the extreme route here. Amanda Young is never beating like Superman, Rick Grimes is never beating Dracula from Castlevania, but let's not pretend that Moon Knight is beating Batman 10 out of 10 times, or Wonder Woman is beating, I don't know, fucking Godzilla in every scenario. But we don't have to look far past comic books to see the same thing. The MCU has been around for a while, and a lot of characters have interacted with each other and have fought each other, but we do run into the same issue here. Walk with me for a second. Thor in his first movie was able to destroy a large area and even shook the ice planet itself with a single strike of his hammer. Hulk has been seen able to withstand most of Thor's attacks, no issue, and deliver attacks on Thor's level. The Hulkbuster armor was able to go toe-to-toe with a Hulk for a time and withstand those same attacks. The Hulkbuster 2, worn by Bruce Banner, should realistically be more powerful and more durable. This suit was getting absolutely torn apart by Cole Obsidian in Infinity War, and in that same movie, Spider-Man was able to casually stop an attack from Cole Obsidian before it hit Tony. Do you think Spidey could dead stop a full country-shattering swing from Thor? Power scaling would say yes. Do you think that's what the writers and directors intended? No, probably not. So Spider-Man will continue to be written in such a way that reaffirms his street tier, but only spreading that scaling around to other characters. If Scorpion finally returns someday and we see Peter fail to catch an attack from him, this would scale Scorpion to and above this level of power. It's absolutely ridiculous to take this stuff too seriously. And that's just one example I got from a different video here on YouTube a while back. I know power scalers hate to hear the winner is whoever the scriptwriter wants to win. Here's the quote from Stanley himself.
So one question I'm always asked, who would win in a fight? And there's one answer to all of that. It's so simple. Anyone should know this. The person who'd win in a fight is the person that the scriptwriter wants to win. If I'm writing a story about the Thing from the Fantastic Four, and he gets into a big fight with Spider-Man, and millions of people out there say, who would win? Well, it depends on who I want to win if I'm writing the script. These are fictitious characters. The writer can do whatever he wants with them, so stop asking those bonehead questions.
And yeah, it can come across as a cop-out answer, but this exact idea is what gives you your scaling, and said scaling will always come second to the story the author is trying to tell. Like sure, it should still be relatively consistent with the established lore surrounding it, but I promise these guys aren't doing math and calculating the force of an explosion and making sure it's in line with the level of force some other guy can punch. Most fictional characters weren't meant to be power scaled. Take cartoons for example. example. You got Gumball and Darwin getting beat down by everyday objects, then surviving large-scale explosions or pulling off complete nonsense. It's for sillies and for laughs, but not to be compared to other characters in a head-to-head fight. If Mr. Official Comic Author Guy writes the Fantastic Four out in space defeating a Galaxy Buster, then they come home only to get knocked out by fucking Dr. McShitpants, then Shitpants gets mugged by the Shocker later, the Shocker now scales to Galaxy level or some shit. And this is kinda where the idea of attack potency comes from, or AP in case you're in a rush, but it also kinda comes off as a throwaway answer to explain away why a character can occasionally contend with someone else way out of their league. Like how Wolverine can cut through guys with crazy durability like Thor and Hulk. And yeah, I can understand that a strong punch isn't gonna have the destructive capacity of like an explosion, like a shockwave versus a bullet, but it's much more likely that the author just wanted the two to fight. But character A's feat of surviving a black hole, he's gonna get laid out with a spinning heel kick. Like how Batman can survive re-entry or building-sized explosions, but still get damaged by a slap from Two-Face or some shit. And oh my god, don't even get me started on speed scaling. Take a look at one of my older videos on speed blitzing. Actually, never mind. Don't, the old ones suck. They all kinda do. Why are you even here? I'm an advocate for speed blitzing, but unfortunately speed is easily the most inconsistent stat ever written. Insert light speed reaction time here, and then getting decked by lesser attacks, like Eggman being able to react and chase after Sonic with his equipment, but can still be punched in the face by Tom. I'm of the opinion that speedsters only lose to bad writing. There's that stupid ass attosecond statement from Wally West. Do you know how short an attosecond is? No, the writer probably doesn't either. He just looked up what the shortest unit of time was and called it there. It's stupid, and if writing consistently, Wally should never be touched or hit by anything ever, bar for maybe another speedster on his level, which is like no one. Characters dodge lasers or light speed attacks all the time, or even supersonic attacks, and then get dropped by some goon. I know I'm coming off as super negative, and it's mostly for show. I like what I do, and interacting with you guys, and tons of different opinions. All in all, this should be and is for fun. The playground who would win discussion turned into something way bigger, and that's really cool. But we gotta keep it real with ourselves. There's very rarely ever gonna be an objectively correct way to power scale most characters. Like character A will always be character B, yada yada, whatever. I see some people take it super seriously, and it gives the same vibes as this picture. Insomniac wasn't worried about why Peter was momentarily pinned by a fridge when he was lifting a Ferris wheel with a single hand in that same game. A character can be a canon island buster and still be written to use guns and shit. The unfortunate fact of the matter is that I know my own videos perpetuate the same idea, how powerful is the versus battles and especially the rankings, and I do try to mitigate some of this by saying, hey, I actually believe this character could be higher or lower, or there are scenarios where this character could beat this guy, but let's be real, you don't watch the whole video, I can see the viewer retention, but hey, at the end, it's really not that serious. Thanks for watching, sorry if I sounded funky, I'm kinda sick still. I had a different video in mind, but I ended up scrapping it like halfway through, so thanks to Something in the World for today's thumbnail. His Twitter's down in the description as per usual. Next video, I'll be buffing every single survivor perk in Dead by Daylight, so subscribe to see when that one's out, and I'll see you guys later.